Vladimir Lenin.
Vladimir Lenin was a pivotal figure in the Russian Revolution and the establishment of the Soviet Union. His political contributions and legacy have had a far-reaching impact on world history, particularly regarding the development of Marxist theory and the spread of communism around the globe. Despite his many accomplishments, Lenin was not without his critics, and his policies and methods have been subject to intense scrutiny and debate. In this article, we will examine the life and contributions of Vladimir Lenin, as well as the criticisms that have been leveled against him in his role as one of the most significant leaders of the 20th century. Introduction to Lenin's contribution. Who was Vladimir Lenin? Vladimir Ilyich Lenin, often referred to as simply Lenin, was a Russian revolutionary, communist politician, and the first head of the Soviet Union. He was born in 1870 in the city of Simbirsk, Russia, and died in 1924 in Moscow, Russia. Lenin played a crucial role in the Bolshevik seizure of power in 1917 and the establishment of the Soviet Union. Overview of Lenin's contribution. Lenin's contribution to world history was immense. He was the founder of the Bolshevik Party, which later became the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. He developed a political philosophy known as Marxism-Leninism, which had a profound impact on the world. Lenin's ideas and actions led to the establishment of the Soviet Union, the world's first socialist state, and one of the world's two superpowers during the Cold War. Lenin's political philosophy and ideology. Marxism and Leninism. Lenin's political philosophy was based on Marxism, which he developed further and called Marxism-Leninism. Lenin believed that capitalism had reached its final stage, imperialism. He believed that the overthrow of the bourgeoisie, the ruling class, and the establishment of a socialist state would be necessary to create a fair and equal society. Lenin's view on imperialism. Lenin viewed imperialism as the highest stage of capitalism. He believed that imperialism caused the exploitation of the working classes of the colonized countries by the capitalist classes of the colonizing countries. He called for international solidarity between the working classes of all countries to overthrow the capitalist system. Lenin's concept of a vanguard party. Lenin believed that the working-class revolution could only be successful if led by a small group of professional revolutionaries who were ideologically committed to the cause. He called this group the Vanguard Party, and believed that they should be organized in a disciplined and centralized manner to effectively lead the revolution. Accomplishments of Lenin's rule. Establishment of the Soviet Union. Lenin's most significant accomplishment was the establishment of the Soviet Union in 1922. Under his leadership, the Russian Empire transformed into a socialist state, and the Bolsheviks defeated the White Army during the Russian Civil War. Redistribution of land and wealth. Lenin implemented policies that redistributed land and wealth in favor of the peasants and the working classes. The state took over the land owned by the nobles and redistributed it to peasants. He also introduced policies that reduced the power of the wealthy, such as nationalizing banks, railways, and industries. Industrialization of Russia. Lenin implemented policies that aimed at rapidly industrializing Russia, which had been primarily an agrarian society. Under his leadership, the Soviet government nationalized the means of production, and the country underwent rapid industrialization. Victory in the Russian Civil War. Under Lenin's leadership, the Bolsheviks emerged victorious in the Russian Civil War, which lasted from 1917 to 1922. The war was fought between the Bolsheviks and the White Army, which opposed the Bolsheviks and were supported by Western powers. Criticisms of Lenin's methods and policies. Authoritarianism and oppression. Critics of Lenin argue that he was an authoritarian leader who suppressed dissent and oppressed those who opposed him. Critics point to the fact that under his leadership, the Soviet government created the secret police, known as the Cheka, which used terror and violence to crush opposition. The Red Terror. Lenin was responsible for the Red Terror, a campaign of mass killings, torture, and arrests that was aimed at suppressing opposition within the Soviet Union. Supporters of Lenin argue that the Red Terror was necessary to maintain the revolution and protect the socialist state from counter-revolutionaries. Lenin's economic policies. Critics argue that Lenin's economic policies, such as the nationalization of industries, led to inefficiencies and shortages. They argue that central planning was unable to allocate resources effectively, causing economic stagnation and poverty. Lenin's attitude towards religion. Lenin was a staunch atheist and believed that religion was a tool used by the ruling classes to control the working classes. He implemented policies that aimed at eradicating religion from society. Critics argue that this policy was oppressive and violated individuals' right to practice their religion freely. Legacy and impact of Lenin's contribution. Lenin's influence on communist movements around the world. Lenin's ideas and tactics had a profound impact on the development of communist movements around the world. His emphasis on the need for a professional revolutionary vanguard, as well as his insistence on the importance of seizing state power, helped shape the direction of global communism for decades to come. Lenin's ideas were particularly influential in the Soviet Union, China, and other countries that would eventually adopt communist governments. Legacy of Leninism in modern Russia. In modern-day Russia, Lenin continues to be a controversial figure. His legacy is still a subject of debate, with some arguing that he helped build the foundations of modern Russia, while others see him as a symbol of repression and totalitarianism. Despite this, Lenin's ideas about revolution and communism still hold influence among some segments of the Russian population. Lenin's impact on the development of Marxist theory. Lenin's contributions to Marxist theory are significant, and his writings continue to be studied by scholars and activists alike. His critique of imperialism, for example, helped shape the direction of Marxist thought in the 20th century. Additionally, Lenin's ideas about the importance of building a revolutionary movement from the ground up have been influential in discussions about socialism and revolutionary change. Comparison to other political leaders. Lenin versus Stalin. Lenin and Stalin are often compared to one another, as they were both leaders of the Soviet Union during its early years. While Lenin was seen as a brilliant political theorist and strategist, Stalin's legacy is somewhat darker, due to his role in the so-called Great Purge and the forced collectivization of agriculture. Stalinism is often seen as a departure from Leninism, as it was characterized by brutal repression, authoritarianism, and a cult of personality. Lenin versus Trotsky. Leon Trotsky was another prominent figure in the early Soviet Union, and he competed with Stalin for power after Lenin's death. Trotsky was known for his intellectual rigor and his commitment to international revolution, while Lenin valued pragmatism and the importance of building socialism in a single country. Their competing visions for the Soviet Union ultimately led to Trotsky's exile and eventual assassination. Lenin's legacy compared to other revolutionary leaders. Lenin is often compared to other revolutionary leaders, such as Mao Zedong, Che Guevara, and Fidel Castro. While there are certainly similarities between these figures, Lenin's emphasis on building a professional revolutionary organization and his ideas about seizing state power set him apart from many of his peers. Relevance of Lenin's ideas in modern politics. Contemporary communist parties and movements. While communist movements have declined since the collapse of the Soviet Union, there are still communist parties and organizations around the world that draw on Lenin's ideas. These groups often focus on issues such as anti-imperialism, workers' rights, and anti-capitalism. Lenin's influence on modern political theory and philosophy. Lenin's contributions to political theory and philosophy continue to be studied and debated by scholars. His ideas about imperialism, the state, and the need for a revolutionary vanguard have been particularly influential in Marxist thought. Lenin's continued importance in Russian politics. Despite the collapse of the Soviet Union, Lenin remains an important figure in Russian politics. His ideas about the importance of state power and the need for a strong state continue to shape debates about the role of government in Russian society. Additionally, Lenin's image and name continue to be used in political propaganda and as symbols of resistance against capitalism and imperialism. In conclusion, Vladimir Lenin remains a highly controversial and influential figure in world history. His contributions to Marxist theory and the establishment of communism have left a lasting impact on political thought and practice. Although his legacy is not without its flaws and criticisms, it is clear that Lenin's leadership and vision played a critical role in shaping the course of world events in the 20th century and beyond. And that's all for today's video on Lenin. We hope you enjoyed learning about this iconic figure in Russian history. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel for more historical content. We'll be back soon with another fascinating subject to explore. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next time.